Joining BYU Sports Nation right now, we have just dubbed him the one-man Wolfpack, and I should give credit to Jerem Jordan. Ryan Radtke, Nevada play-by-play man, back on the show. Ryan, are you okay with your new moniker?
Yeah, like I was telling you guys during the break, I'm fine with that. But if you get sued by Zach Galifianakis, you're on your own. Don't come to me for any help in those court proceedings.
Yeah, that's so Raven. Yeah.
Ryan, we look at BYU Nevada. This is an intriguing game. Nevada has competed in all. They've won 3. They had an opportunity to win the 3 games that they lost. They seem to be a solid football team this year. How much better are they this year than last year from what you've seen?
I think it's definitely an improved football team, guys. And they got off to the good start, and they had that win over Washington State in the second week of the season. And I really think that did a lot for this team. I think going into that game was a Friday night game, ESPN game, big crowd at Mackey Stadium. And to come out of there with a win, I think really just validated to these guys that, hey, we are better, and we can compete with some of these teams. Now, you mentioned that they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. All those losses have come to good teams. All of them have been by single digits, and they had an opportunity to win all of those 3 games. So I think that's something Brian Polian has kind of been drilling into his guys since Saturday night, that, hey, we've fallen here these last couple of weeks, but we've been in these games. We've had a chance. You're still a good football team. You've still got a chance to have a really good season. Hang in there. They said that their confidence has not wavered. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more about that on Saturday night when they roll in to take on the Cougars.
Where's the biggest difference this season in compared to the team that BYU beat by 5 points last season?
I think you'd have to say defense, and I know that anybody who looks at the last 2 games is going to say, wait a minute, what are you talking about defense? Boise State scored 51 points. Colorado State scored 31. What's so good about this defense? Nevada's defense for most of last year was a train wreck. It's a defense that has really improved this year. They got put into some bad spots in the Boise State game. A lot of turnovers really affected them there. And, against Colorado State, they give up the 31 points, and then they were able to tighten up in the second half and give the offense a chance to come back and win the game. And many folks in Reno think they should have tied the game without a phantom offensive pass interference call that came late. But I think that defense has really been good. I think Scott Boone, their new defensive coordinator, has done a great job relating to the kids, installing confidence in them. He came in right away and told them, fellas, I'm not always going to have the right answer. I'm not always going to make the right call. But I will tell you this, if there's a time that I'm not sure what we should do, I'm going to lean towards being aggressive. And I think the guys really like that attitude that he brought from day one. And their front 4 has been playing really well, and it's definitely been an improved unit.
Ryan Radtke, the voice of the Nevada Wolfpack on BYU Sports Nation. We know Cody Fajardo can play. I mean, he's a playmaker. BYU played against him last year. We saw what he can do firsthand. Why is he better this year, and what makes him so hard to stop?
Well, I think one of the reasons he's better this year, guys, is that he is healthy. He injured his knee early last year, and even though he came back, he was never really the same. He wore a big brace on that knee the rest of the season. While he claimed he was healthy, he was not. He was probably playing at about 85%. And I also think it took a mental toll on him. He was always a little nervous about what was going to happen. This year, the knee is 100% healthy. He's got that burst back that he had in previous seasons, and that's really what makes him such a dangerous player. The way Nevada's offense goes, he has to be a threat to run in order to have the offense optimized, I guess you would say. And he has that burst back. Now, he really is a threat running. He's not just a guy that you think, okay, if he gets outside, he can get 6 yards and then he's going to get down. He's got the chance to take it all the way if he is able to find a seam. And so I think that's what makes him such a dangerous player. He's back to being truly a dual threat guy. I know if you look at the last 2 games, you see the interception number going up. He had a bad game against Boise State, made some bad decisions, threw 4 interceptions, but he's generally a guy that takes very good care of the football. And now that knee is healthy, he's got that explosion in the running game. He's a tough guy to deal with.
I just realized you went to the University of Arizona. So what was September 13th like for you?
You know what? Interestingly enough, I was not there. I was still involved in minor league baseball playoff season, so I did not get to go. It would have been a very, very fun day for me to go back to Tucson. I spent a lot of time there. I went to school there, and then I worked there for 10 years before I came to Nevada. So I was really looking forward to it, but unfortunately I didn't get to go. So I was sitting in a hotel room in Omaha, Nebraska, listening to the game on my iPhone.
You were conflicted internally, weren't you?
I was not. I was not conflicted internally. It's funny. Nevada actually played Arizona a couple of years ago in the New Mexico Bowl, and I got a chance to do that game, and everybody said, "Man, is it going to be tough for you?" I said, "Look, I root for Arizona 364 days a year, but day 365 is coming up on Saturday." So
Yeah.
I was all for Nevada in that game, but unfortunately, it didn't work out either time. I'll tell you what, the game this year, though, against Arizona was a good game. They lost by 7 points. They had a chance to win late in that game. And that's one of those games, you look at Nevada's 3 losses. They lose to a 5-1 Arizona team that's 16th in the country. They lost to Boise State by 5 points in a mistake-riddled game.
Yeah.
They lost to Colorado State by 7. I mean, we're talking about teams that have a combined record, I think, of 14-4.
Yeah.
And they've lost those games by single digits. So I think that's what still gives fans confidence that, hey, this is an improving football team, and they still got a chance to do some good things.
Where's the strength of the Nevada team?
Well, I think you probably start with Cody Fajardo. I mean, again, just because he's back now and he's healthy, and we're talking about a guy that has basically been a 4-year starter, you definitely start with him. On the defensive side of the ball, I think it's the guys up front. In fact, I know it's the guys up front. Brock Hecking and Ian Seau, the defensive ends, have both been playing extremely well. Hecking's been an all Mountain West guy.
Everyone knows Brock Hecking.
His hair.
Yeah, you got to know Brock Hecking.
Everybody.
You see the mullet. Yeah, you love the mullet. Everybody loves the mullet.
Love it.
So, I mean, with him and Seau on the other side is a guy that really is getting better every week. He's obviously got football in his blood with his uncle Junior having been such a terrific player. He's getting better at the defensive end spot. Rakeem Yates, a defensive tackle, is playing his best football right now. The last 2 weeks, he's been in the Boise and Colorado State backfields the entire game. Those guys have been terrific. So I think that's their strength defensively. Offensively, it goes to Fajardo. I think the thing with Fajardo offensively, he's got to get some more help from his offensive line. It is an incredibly young offensive line. 3 redshirt freshmen starting right now. And last week against Colorado State, Cody did not get a lot of time to sit back there and survey the field and throw the ball. So that's going to be a real key matchup, I think, in this game on Saturday night. How does Nevada's offensive line stack up against that BYU defensive front? And on the other side, how does Nevada's smaller defensive line handle the sheer size that BYU has on their offensive line? So I think those battles up front are going to be big on Saturday night.
Ryan Radtke, Nevada play-by-play announcer on BYU Sports Nation, back on the show, I should say, after a successful minor league baseball stint. Now he can focus all of his time and effort on the Wolfpack. We want to know what Nevada thinks about BYU. Got off to a 4-0 start, ranked 18th. Taysom Hill breaks his leg, goes out for the season. Now they've dropped a couple of games in a row. This is kind of a new team. So what does Nevada think about the new-look BYU?
I know Brian Polian talking yesterday was drawing some comparisons between his team and BYU and just saying that, with all of the injuries and everything they've had, there's a lot of question marks. And he was saying, I know what that feels like. Last year, Nevada was the team that just seemed like every week they were adding to the injury report. And what does this mean for this spot? And what does it mean for that spot? And you really didn't know. I think Nevada still has a great amount of respect for BYU, for the team that they saw a year ago. I can tell you this, while everybody is sad that Taysom Hill is hurt because he's such a good player, nobody's sad they don't have to see him because
Right.
we saw what a dynamic player he was last year here in Reno. In fact, I was just listening to some of the quotes from Brian Polian's press conference yesterday. He called Taysom Hill the most, or one of the most dynamic players in all of college football. And so, not having to see him, obviously, the Wolfpack feel like that's going to be a good thing. I mean, somebody asked Brian Polian yesterday, well, what does Stewart do better than Hill? He said nothing. And he said, there's no disrespect, but if he did, he would have been starting.
Sure.
Taysom Hill is a great player. So the fact that BYU doesn't have him, I'm sure makes a lot of Nevada fans feel like this game became a lot more winnable when Hill went down against Utah State.
Last time Nevada was in Provo was 2010. A guy by the name of Colin Kaepernick was quarterbacking Nevada. So I want to ask you, is there a Steve Young effect with Nevada fans? Are a lot of them Niners fans because Cap is on the Niners? When Steve Young was on the Niners, BYU fans were like, oh, yeah, Niners, that's my team now.
You know what? In this area, there's so many transplants from the Bay Area and so many folks that grew up rooting for the San Francisco teams anyway. It's always been a natural connection. This is a big Giants and 49ers area. You can get Giants games and 49ers games both on the radio and TV here.
Times are good,
so
man.
people have always been big fans. So when Cap went to the Niners, that was just a bonus for a lot of folks. They just had to, hang up their Bill Montana and Steve Young jerseys and just go buy a Kaepernick jersey instead.
I want to ask a follow-up question about Brock Hecking. What is better, his hairstyle or his play on the field?
Ooh, that's tough. That's if you ask Brock that, he might have a tough time coming up with that. He takes a great amount of pride in that mullet that he has fashioned here. I'll tell you what, he's a pretty good player. I think he's a guy that's going to play on Sundays. Last week we saw a great matchup. He was against Ty Sambrailo, the Colorado State tackle. I think both those guys are going to end up in the NFL draft. The thing about Hecking is funny. If you look at just his sheer stats this year, you probably say, boy, he's been kind of disappointing. I would disagree with that, and I think Nevada's coaches would disagree with that. Hecking is one of those guys that he's starting to get a lot more attention, and when you watch Nevada's games, you see how many times that Ian Seau gets a sack, or Rakeem Yates gets a tackle for loss, or Lenny Jones is in the backfield, and it's because of Hecking, that Hecking has come off that edge. He's forced the quarterback up in the pocket into the waiting arms of somebody else. He's flushed the quarterback out the backside. The thing that I like about Hecking, he just has a relentless motor. He plays every single play as hard as he possibly can, and I think it has a positive effect on the guys that are around him.
He's the guy you hate to play against. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, he absolutely is. He is that guy. He's that guy that's going to go so hard on every single play that you dread, because he doesn't take plays off, and that's what makes him the player he is. And you ask Brock that, you ask any of the Nevada coaches that, they'll tell you he's not just singularly the most physically gifted guy you're going to see. He's not the greatest athlete you've ever seen. He's a guy that has very good skills that plays with a relentless motor.
Ryan Radtke, the original one-man Wolfpack and voice of the Nevada Wolfpack football team. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. Great to talk to you again.
Guys, always my pleasure. Thanks so much.